Thanks very much for taking time to chat today. It's much appreciated.
Oh no, it's my pleasure.
And congratulations on the new album as well, Insights. Really an incredible accomplishment.
Oh, thanks, very kind of you. Cheers.
I'm interested to talk to you about this new album, and perhaps to begin by asking how you approached this record that was perhaps sort of different to how you've worked previously, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I wanted to create something a lot more extreme, really, in a sense of having a really dark side to it and also a really quiet side to it, and just to kind of have two halves, really, and have a real structure where the first half builds into quite intense, scratchy weirdness and darkness, and then it really breaks into the slightly more sunny disposition of the second half, when it's all a lot more real instruments and more pastoral feel. I think the idea was to get those two elements working off each other, each making the other more extreme, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think in that sense that this is a record which is kind of preoccupied with contrasts and contradictions in a sense, like sort of challenging yourself maybe more than you have done in the past?
Yeah, no, that really was it. I think now if I don't get as much time to write as I would like, and I do, I really have to try and force myself to do things that are different from my natural tendencies, maybe. So just to really try and match things together, which I wouldn't have matched before, like to have some really gentle piano at the same time as some really heavy bass. It's kind of, I wanted to play around a bit more, really.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess it's interesting for me to listen to the album, because I suppose you've been acclaimed for your incredible songwriting prowess, but it occurs to me that this album is more of a kind of a painterly sort of approach that you've taken with textures and sounds, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, because I approach it from not really from a point of view of knowing how it's going to end up, and just write without too much forethought, really. And a lot of it's based on improvisations, and I think and then I just refine these down into finished things. So I mean, I've been always hugely influenced by singers and songwriters generally. So I think I absorb more traditional songwriting structures, and then, but because I can't sing or want to, and no one would want to hear that anyway, I find myself filling those gaps with instruments and trying to look more into the sound area, and to try and get as much emotion from instrumental music as you can with a singer on top.
In terms of your emotional state when you were writing the record, do you feel that this album is like a diary, maybe, of some of the emotions that you were experiencing at the time of writing that maybe you weren't aware of until you listened back to it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, particularly like the more angry tracks, like the title track, Insights, was just written in a. I mean, I don't know whether it was the music that made me like that, or the mood I was in made the music like that, but it was just quite a real sort of urban sounding, like when I was experiencing quite a lot of frustration with living in the city and just trying to, rather than just getting annoyed at everything, I would just channel it all into that and make quite a dark, dubby kind of thing, that reflects, because I live in East London, there's loads of that kind of music around here, and I think I just subconsciously took all that in, and then equally there's piano tracks later on which are very, some of them very specifically about one event, like the very last track, Autumn Hill, which is just a very simple piano piece. It was all about this time that I was at a music festival, and it was dawn, and someone had left a piano on top of a hill. I don't really know how it got there, but it was we'd all been up all night partying, and it was I think 8 in the morning, and found this piano and started playing outdoors, and it was a pretty amazing experience. And so I mean, so sometimes they're quite literal stories of things that have actually happened, but more often I think they're sort of journeys and weird things that are going on in my mind at the time.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm interested to hear you sort of make the reference point to, like, I suppose, geography and the idea that London has associated with it, I guess, like this particular strain of sort of like this melancholic electronic music which yourself produce, and also I suppose a lot of people would know from people like Burial, for example, sort of who's produced it. And I'm curious to whether or not you have a particular theory as to why London seems to be such a prolific sort of hub of this form of this emotion, I suppose.
Well, I think you just get it. You walk around the streets at night around here, and it's just the sound of London. I don't know why, but I mean, there's a lot of people. And I guess everyone gets inspired by everyone else as well. There'll be some original innovators, and then other people will come in and add their piece to it. And I think it's just I love the fact that every place has a type of music which seems to emerge out of it and mean a lot more when you listen to it in that place. So I was really keen to have the whole album not sounding like that, but to have some of it sounding like that, so that the rest could be more distinct and represent those times when you aren't in the city and the times when you're feeling a bit more free and a bit more outdoorsy.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there are some certain tracks which kind of have much more of a pastoral feel, I guess, than an urban kind of sound, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, I even thought with that opening song, The Wider Sun, which is just a violin piece, really, that was supposed to be almost like a dream, like a sort of weird, because it almost sounds Celtic or even American. I was thinking about wide open spaces and deserts and stuff like that, and then it links into the next track, which completely shatters that mood with quite a heavy beat, and I quite like that idea.
Well, it is. There's a lot of juxtapositions which kind of serve to, I suppose, enhance the individual experience of those different sort of styles.